Just 5 years ago, he was a rookie playing for Birmingham in the Bundesliga. Fast forward 5 years later, and he's on his way to becoming an EAFC cover star. Jude Bellingham's career has been rapid, but away from the spotlight now. The question is, just how good is he? Bellingham's career began in his roots. He was born in Stourbridge on June 29, 2003. His dad Mark used to be a former pro, while his mom Denise took care of him and his younger brother Job. The crazy thing is that Bellingham wasn't even interested in football at the start. Damn, dude preferred kicking grass to actually playing on the pitch. By the time it did click for Bellingham though, he signed up for the club's under-8 team, and from there, his rise to the top was underway. Bellingham quickly rose to the ranks at Birmingham, and the youth coaches he played under were so impressed, they all knew he was going to be a guaranteed star. I think the thing that probably set him apart was, when he got to 12 or 13, he just had a real desire to be the very best at whatever he turned his hand to, and I think that's what propelled him. Bellingham was on the rise. Due to how good he was, there were calls for him to make the Birmingham first team as a teenager. But because he was still only 16, the club couldn't afford to give him a professional contract because he'd be ineligible. So they offered him a scholarship instead. By the time 2018 came, Bellingham was quickly becoming a man. He'd played for the under-18 team at 14 years, played for the under-23s at 15 too. However, there were bigger things to come for Bellingham, because at the start of the 1920 season, he was making history. In the Carabao Cup game against Portsmouth, Bellingham became the youngest player in Birmingham's history, breaking a record that had stayed for over 49 years. Bellingham's debut ended in defeat, but there were a lot of promising signs watching him play. But I don't think anyone would have been able to predict just how fast he'd have his name on people's lips. Birmingham was playing Stoke City at home in the championship. The scores were tied at 1-1 when Bellingham came on to replace Jefferson Montero, and still only 16, the Wonder Boy turned Clutch King scored the winning goal. It didn't end there too, because in the next match against Charlton Athletic, he was on the score sheet again. He'd score in back-to-back games for Birmingham as a 16-year-old. When I was 16, the only thing I could bag back-to-back was Instagram DM rejections. Bellingham at Birmingham was a revelation. He was compared to some of the greats, like his idol Zidane already. But the person who everyone thought he really played like was Steven Gerrard. To be honest, the comparisons were valid. His ability to drive the ball, get stuck in with tackles, and become a main point in the team was incredibly rare. And apparently, the award guys were seeing all of this too. He won the Young Player of the Month for November, and this didn't derail him. He managed to stay focused and played out an incredible season. At the end of his first full season at a professional level, Bellingham was a revelation. He made 44 appearances in his first season as a 16-year-old, with 4 goals and 2 assists from central midfield. Bellingham won the Young Player of the Season award and the Birmingham Young Player of the Year award. And it looked like he'd be all set to continue his development into the next season. But all of that changed in the summer. From January 2020, Bellingham was attracting interest from big teams in England. Manchester United came in with a lot of interest in him. But by the summer, Bellingham had his mind made up. He just turned 17, but he was already a man and made the first big move of his career. He just signed for Borussia Dortmund for a fee of $25 million. Truth is, the move just showed the kind of guy Bellingham is on and off the pitch, because he didn't have an official professional contract with Birmingham due to still being a 16-year-old. When he debuted for the team, he could have chosen to make the deal a lot straightforward and signed for Dortmund for free. But he realized what Birmingham had done for him by giving him a platform to develop and become this good. So instead, he waited to turn 17 and signed the contract. The fee for him helped the club when the COVID economic crisis hit, and in return, Birmingham gave Bellingham a legend's farewell. They retired his number 22 jersey. The decision was controversial at first, but when the news broke out of what Bellingham had done for the club, it became easy to understand why. The attention switched to Borussia Dortmund for Bellingham now, and at his new team, he was quickly turning heads too. He was very confident. You could see from the first training that he was not shy of going into duels and showing his quality and his mentality. It was very clear from the beginning that this is a guy who is very good for our team. The guy speaking here was Roman Burki, one of the goalies at Dortmund when Jude arrived. I'm pretty sure he must have hit a couple of bangers past him on the first week in training. Bellingham's development at Dortmund was as rapid as it was in Birmingham. He made his debut for the team in the DFB Pokal against MSV Duisburg, and yup, he was off the mark too. Scored on his official debut and became the youngest goal scorer for Dortmund in the club's history. Initially, when he arrived at Dortmund, because of how good and versatile he was, Birmingham played in several positions to see which would be his best fit for the team. In the early days, he played a deeper role, sticking to getting the tackles in and passing the numbers rather than a more advanced and attacking style of play. Still, his talent became too big to resist, and only a few weeks after making history at club level, on the international scene, Jude had arrived. At 17 years old, he made his debut for England. Crazy! Bellingham's appearance against the Republic of Ireland made him the third youngest player to play for the national team. Bellingham finished his first season at Dortmund with 4 goals and 4 assists in all competitions, and he had a lot of talking points all through the season. But if there's one game that made him stand out, it was the one against Manchester City at Signal Iduna Park. Dortmund lost the game, but this banger from Bellingham was so good that it made Pep Guardiola ask for a birth certificate check. I can't believe it. Maybe he's a liar. He's so good for a 17-year-old. Impressed Pep already. Hats off, man. Bellingham made the England team to the Euros in 2021, and he put in a good shift too. Had minutes as the team made it to the final, but lost to Italy on penalties. Overall, his first season playing top-flight football was amazing. He won the Rookie of the Month award in September, won the Goal of the Month award in October, and at the end of the season, he made the Bundesliga Team of the Season, won the Young Player of the Season award, and from a collective level, Bellingham had the first major trophy of his career. Once again, he was still only 17. In 2021-22, Bellingham kicked off from where he left off, and even got better in the process. Had a goal and an assist in the opening Champions League game versus Besiktas. He was playing sensational football. There were vast improvements in Bellingham's game. Unlike his first season, where he was a bit in and out of the team, now he's become a regular starter, and he'd also shown he could deliver the numbers up front too. He took his assist tally from 4 in his first season to 14 in his second. 6 goals scored in 44 games that season. He made the Bundesliga Team of the Season for the second year in a row. But in 2022-23, Bellingham had the world at his feet. He was unplayable. Under Edin Terzic now, the coach realized Bellingham had the qualities to drive the attack from midfield, so he played in a more advanced role, and the reward was goals like this. That's supposed to be his weak foot. Bellingham took his game to a whole new level that season. Playing in that number 8 box-to-box attacking role, Bellingham's average shot-creating actions rose from 3.35 in 2021-22 to 4.35 that season. His progressive ball carries into the final third were up as well. 2.52 in 2021-22, and 3.24 in 2022-23. The biggest improvement, though, had to be his goal count. Bellingham hit 14 goals and 7 assists that season, including scoring in his first group stage Champions League games. On the international scene, the World Cup took place at the end of 2022. Bellingham made the cut in the English team, and in the opening games against Iran, well, he scored England's first goal of the World Cup. England unfortunately got knocked out in the quarterfinal stage, but Bellingham had made his mark. At the end of the season, he almost capped off an incredible season by winning the Bundesliga, but Dortmund choked on the league title on the final day. And I guess all of that must have been the turning point in his time in Germany, because in the summer, Jude was on the move again. At the start, everyone thought he'd be going to Liverpool. The comparisons between him and Gerrard were everywhere. But after watching that 2022 Champions League final alongside his idol Zidane, Bellingham knew the right choice to make. And in the days after, he officially became a Galactico. Signed for Real Madrid and took on Zidane's iconic number 5 jersey. Now everyone knew Bellingham was good, but I don't think even he could have predicted the start he'd have for his Real Madrid career. Goal on his La Liga debut! A goal on his Champions League debut! These weren't just one-off numbers. No, Bellingham had become the main goal threat in a Madrid team that had players like Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo. The dude hadn't even spent 3 months there. In his first 10 La Liga games, he had 8 goals and 2 assists, but his biggest performance of the season came in Madrid's biggest game of the season at that point, the El Clásico. Madrid took on Barca away from home, went behind early, and for large parts, it looked like they'd lose the first El Clásico of the season, until Bellingham showed up. That second goal, man, my days. Now everyone knew he was the real deal. This maturity that he has, he makes us forget that he's just 20 years old. His coach at Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti, still struggled to believe he was only 20. Bellingham's first season at Madrid was amazing. He finished with 19 goals in La Liga, the 3rd most in the league and the highest for Madrid. 4 goals and 5 assists in the Champions League too, including setting up the goal that sealed the 15th title. His assist to Vinicius against his former team killed the game off. Bellingham's first season ended with him lifting La Liga and the Champions League with 23 goals and 13 assists as a 20-year-old. What the heck? He won the La Liga Player of the Season award, the Champions League Young Player of the Season award, won the La Liga Player of the Month award twice, made the La Liga and Champions League Team of the Season, got included in the FIFA World 11, and finally won the Golden Boy Award he'd been getting nominations for since 2021. He was already completing his story at 20 years old. Bellingham's currently at the Euros with England, and he's been on a different level too. He'd scored the winning goal in the opening game versus Serbia. And just when his critics started getting to him, after the team dropped in performance levels and were seconds away from getting knocked out in the quarterfinals versus Slovakia, Bellingham came up clutch again. A bicycle kick to level it with seconds to go. It's like everything he does is perfect. As long as he keeps this high-intensity level up, he can only get better. He's subscribed to Goal Zone too. Just give him the Ballon d'Or already.